Hey everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media. So as of filming, Halloween is merely a week away. So I figured what better way to celebrate than by sharing with you guys a very specific portion of my collection. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is these guys over here, my standard Blu-ray horror collection. I am really excited to share this with you guys because I know some of you have been asking for this for quite a while, so I figured this would be a good way to kind of get this started again. So let me make clear what I'm going to be sharing today. This is strictly my standard Blu-rays. So that means no DVDs and no 4K, obviously, but it also means no boutique labels. So no titles in here from Visual Vengeance, Scream Factory, Criterion Collection, Vinegar Syndrome. So there's more that I can't think of. Arrow Video, for example. I didn't name all of those, but that's the majority of what people think of when they think boutique. And so those are not included in this video. I will make mention, I do have my complete Scream Factory collection videos. I have a complete Criterion collection video, and so on, that you can find here on the channel if you want to see those collections. Admittedly, they are a couple of years old now, so I will be doing an updated video. Most likely, probably the beginning of 2023. But if you're watching this later than that, maybe it's already on the channel. So yeah, these, again, just my standard Blu-rays. So yeah, let's get into this, guys. And I guess before we do, let me make mention, I've not watched 100% of these movies behind me. A lot of these are still going to be sealed. I may have seen them, but they might still be sealed because I haven't opened this version of it or whatever the case may be. So just expect that as I go through it. But if I have something to say about the movie, I will talk about it. Otherwise, I'll just move on. So anyway, that's enough. So let's get into this. If you have a second, though, please hit that like button down below. That engagement really does help me out. But with that said, let's not waste any more time at all. Let's dive right in to my complete standard Blu-ray horror movie collection. Alright, so just an overview of everything here, and as a reminder, a lot of these things are going to be sealed. That doesn't necessarily mean I haven't seen the movie, I just may not have opened my copy of it yet. And frankly, a lot of these I just haven't seen. I tend to do a ton of blind buying. So if I have something to say, I will, otherwise we'll just move on. Starting up here is the ABCs of Death. I've seen like half of this, I didn't love it, I need to go back to it and finish it. From the Asylum, we have Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies, much better than I expected it to be. Afflicted, Aftershock, the Alien Anthology, I love that set. Aliens versus Predator, I love that movie, I know it gets a lot of hate, heck, both of these do. AVP Requiem, I love that one as well. Alone, the Steelbook version of An American Werewolf in London. The remake of the Amityville Horror, Annabelle, and its two sequels, Annabelle Creation and Annabelle Comes Home. I think Creation was my favorite out of that trio there. Apartment 143, a found footage film, but not one of my favorites. I didn't love that one. Apollo 18, another found footage film. I didn't love this, but it's pretty unique because it's found footage that's like space horror. Actually, here's Army of Darkness, which actually I can get rid of this. I'm going to move this down here for now because I just bought the 4K, so I need to get that out of my collection, trade that one in. As Above, So Below, one of my favorite slipcovers in the collection, and a super underrated found footage film, one of my favorites. Badass Monster Killer, one of the horror pack Blu-rays I have when I was doing that many years ago. Bad Milo. Here's one without a case, but this is The Barons with Danielle Harris, isn't that, who I love. We have Battle of the Damned with Dolph Lundgren. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Absolutely love this movie. Definitely check that out. There is a Scream Factory edition that I need to get. Here is the Grindhouse releasing edition of The Beyond, which honestly, like, this is pretty good, but I didn't love that one either. I think it's just okay. We have Black Sunday, another one I need to revisit. I've heard really good things about it, but when I saw it, I wasn't loving it. I just need to give it another shot. Blackwater Abyss. I didn't realize this is actually a sequel. I think the original is just called Blackwater. The Blair Witch Project, another favorite of mine. And then the reboot / second sequel, Blair Witch. I do have the second one, but it's not on Blu-ray. It's just on DVD. Next up is The Boy. Super underrated. I really enjoy this one. I've seen it a couple times, and I like it. And then we have its sequel, Brahms, The Boy 2. I still need to check this one out. I bought that recently. Here is The Bye-Bye Man. And then the Kino release of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Great film. I actually have the poster for this upstairs from Mondo, and I love it. The Cabin in the Woods with an amazing slipcover. Another favorite of mine. Cannibal Ferox. This is another Grindhouse releasing. I actually need to watch that one. I haven't seen that one yet. Case 39 with Renee Zellweger. Kathy's Curse. This movie is like wonderfully bad in all the right ways. Such a great film. Like if you like that type of movie, so goofy, but it's awesome. Cat in the Brain. I'm dropping things here. Cat in the Brain. This is another Grindhouse one that I've not seen. Chernobyl Diaries. This one I want to be better. I want it to be better every single time I watch it. Children of the Corn reboot. Genuinely one of the worst films I've ever seen, and not in a good way. I hate that movie. Children of the Corn Genesis. Another one. I don't hate this one, but I don't love it. And then we have the Chucky collection. So Child's Play 1 through Curse of Chucky. And then here is Cult of Chucky and the reboot Child's Play, which I think is fantastic. Oh, another one I can take out of the collection, Clockwork Orange. I actually just got this one on 4K, so let me get rid of this one as well. Then we have The Collector. I love this movie. I actually saw this one in an early screening before it premiered. My girlfriend and I at the time, my wife now obviously, and just absolutely loved it. It is super brutal from the torture genre and fantastic. And then the sequel, The Collection, which I still, after all these years, I have not seen this one yet. I definitely need to correct that. And then we have the Conjuring films, the original, number 2, which is probably my favorite of them. And then number 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. I actually still have to watch that one. Then we have Corruption, another Grindhouse releasing one. But this one I don't have like a special slipcover for like the other ones. So I don't know if it came with one or not, but there's Corruption. The Crazies, I really like this. It's a remake of a George A. Romero film. I like this one much better than the Romero one. Crimson Peak, super underrated Del Toro film. I love that movie. It's beautiful. A Cure for Wellness. That's actually directed by the director of The Ring, and I haven't watched this one yet, so I need to check that out. The Curse of La Llorona. Curtains from Synapse. The Dario Argento collection. So this is The Cat O' Nine Tails, Deep Red, which is my favorite giallo, and Inferno. The Dark and the Wicked. Dark House. Dark Skies, great movie, super underrated. I think I talked about this one recently. I love that movie. A Dark Song. Dawn of the Dead, obviously an all-time classic. The Day, that's actually a WWE film. Daybreakers, another favorite vampire film of mine, just so good. And I don't hear anybody talking about that very much, so I love that movie. Here's a dollar store find. Day of the Living Dead. And then The Dead is going to wrap up the first shelf. So let me get repositioned so we can move on to the next shelf. On to shelf 2, starting with Dead Mine, another dollar store find. Then we have The Dead Next Door. This is like a super low budget, shot in Ohio horror film that is just a ton of fun. For what it is, they do a great job with it. This is Dead Trigger, another Dolph Lundgren horror film in the collection. And then one of the best titles in the collection, Deathbed, The Bed That Eats. I still haven't seen this. I've owned this forever. I need to watch that. Then we have Death Stop Holocaust, a Kino Lorber release of Deep Star 6, a double feature of Demonic and Uninvited. Then we have one of my all-time favorite horror films, The Descent. I'm trying to find The Descent Part 2 as we speak. I need to get that one. Devil, I just showed that one recently in a pickups video. Devil's Due. House of a Thousand Corpses. I love this. I would love to get that on 4K one day. Digging Up the Marrow. Alex Party. Don't Breathe. Another fantastic horror film. I really thought I owned that on 4K. I guess I don't. Don't Look in the Basement 2. Another one from Horror Pack. Doom Annihilation. Escape Room. And its sequel, Escape Room Tournament of Champions. And then we have The Evil Dead, which I actually just upgraded this to 4K, but because this is the Steelbook edition, I will hold on to that Steelbook. The Exorcism of Molly Hartley, and then The Exorcist Complete Anthology. I still have only seen the original Exorcist. I need to watch those sequels. Jessica Alba in The Eye, which is a J-horror remake. I don't love this one, but it's decent. The Fan from Mondo, Mondo Macabro. Blumhouse's Fantasy Island with our main girl from Pretty Little Liars. A 4-film collection of 4 fantastic films: Final Destination, Final Destination 2, Final Destination 3, and The Final Destination. And then arguably the best of the bunch outside of 1 and 2, Final Destination 5. And then we have Final Girl with Abigail Breslin. 1408, a fantastic horror film that made me scream in theaters. 47 Meters Down, a very decent shark attack film, along with its sequel, 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. And then we have Frailty with Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey. Super disturbing, just a really well done serial killer film. Freaky, another dollar store find with Frenzy. We have Frightmare, a Pete Walker film. And then the From Dusk Till Dawn collection with From Dusk Till Dawn, From Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money, From Dusk Till Dawn 3, The Hangman's Daughter, and then Full Tilt Boogie is on there as well, because why wouldn't it be? An Adam Green horror film I love called Frozen, where they're stuck up in these lifts. It's such a good movie. The Gallows and its sequel, The Gallows Act 2, which has the much better cover in my opinion. One of the goats here, Get Out, the Jordan Peele film, absolutely amazing movie. And then Ghost Month. And then a double feature of Ghost Ship and Bedlam, a couple of classic horror films from Warner Archives. Some more newer ones here. We have A Ghost Story. And then the original Goodnight Mommy. I believe it's Hulu just released a remake of this one. Another shark movie, Great White. Here's Gremlins 2, a new batch. I do have the original on 4K. Gretel and Hansel. Greystone Park. Actually better than I anticipated being. It's not a great movie, but decent. I think they go to this Greystone Park is an insane asylum, and it's haunted. And so it's not terrible. Grindhouse, which of course is Death Proof, and the other one, whose name is escaping me. There it is, Planet Terror. I don't know how I forgot that for a second, but I did. And then we'll move on to Grizzly 2, Revenge, which I hear is just terrible, but I've yet to see it. And then we have The Grudge. I like the original better than the remake, but that's still a good movie. Gwen, a Shudder original. And then this really cool edition of Halloween. This is the 35th anniversary edition. And then all of the sequels. So we have Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween H2O, Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers, and Halloween Resurrection. Rob Zombie's Halloween, which gets way more hate than it deserves, along with its sequel, Halloween 2. And where in the world is Halloween 3? Oh, that of course is on the Scream Factory edition. And I have Halloween 2 on Scream Factory as well, but this had a special feature on it, I believe, that the Scream Factory one did not. Terror in the Aisles, maybe? Yeah, Terror in the Aisles is in that, and I don't think the Scream Factory release had it. That's why I ended up holding on to that version as well. Anyway, moving along here, we have the Hammer Films collection. That's 20 different films. So of course, I'm not going to name them all off. Then we have the Hannibal Lecter double feature with Hannibal and the Silence of the Lambs. Another Asylum film, Hansel and Gretel. I have a review of this from last year, so 2021's 13 Days of Halloween. The Happening, M. Night Shyamalan's most underrated. And then Happy Death Day with this really cool Target slipcover, along with the sequel, Happy Death Day to You. And then we have Harvest Lake. This one's actually signed, which is pretty cool. And then the Hatchet movies. Hatchet, all directed by Adam Green. Hatchet 2. Hatchet 3. And then the fourth one in the series, Victor Crowley. I bet that's bugging some people that Victor Crowley is with the H's, but I couldn't move it away from the rest of the Hatchet films. Haunt, a wonderfully done horror film that more people need to see and be discussing because it's amazing. And then A Haunted House, which is hysterical, and its sequel, A Haunted House 2. I love these satire films. They are so funny. These two are just really well done. I love the first one especially. So yeah, that is line number 2, or shelf number 2, I guess. So let's move on to the number 3 shelf. All right, so shelf number 3 starts off with The Haunting in Connecticut. I always wish this movie was better than it actually is. I think I enjoyed the book by the Warrens more than I like the actual movie. Completely different, but still, I like the book better. The Haunting of La Llorona, The Haunting of Molly Hartley, The Haunting of Winchester House, Hell, another WWE film if I'm not mistaken, Hellfest, a Blue Underground release of Hell of the Living Dead and Rats, and then the Hellraiser double feature with Hellraiser and Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, a wonderful film, super disturbing. It's just a great movie you need to see if you haven't. Hereditary. High Tension, an Alexander Aja film I absolutely love. Then we have the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, along with its sequel, The Hills Have Eyes 2. I've still yet to see the sequel, but I love the original. That's that torture genre, doing it well, or doing it, at its best. And then we have Hollow, Daniel Radcliffe in Horns, based on the Joe Hill book, who of course is Stephen King's son. And then the Shudder original, one of my favorites from 2020, Host, another found footage film. And then we have Hostel and its sequel, Hostel Part 2. Part 3, unfortunately, is not on Blu-ray, but I do own the DVD of that. And then, you know what I just noticed? I have The Devil's Rejects down here, and then where this is supposed to go, I have House of a Thousand Corpses. So I don't even know how I didn't notice that as I was going through them earlier, but yeah, we'll switch those around. So here's Devil's Rejects, 2 of the Rob Zombie Firefly trilogy. I have the 3rd one on 4K. And then House of Wax 3D, a really good 3D Blu-ray if you have the ability to watch it. Here is The House is October Built. I have the sequel on DVD. Here's a Warner Archive release of The Hunger, another vampire flick. This is The Hunt. Hunters, super screwed up. This one, I don't know, this just disturbed me when I watched it. And I don't love it. It's just kind of gross. Here's I Know Who Killed Me. Not a great movie, but excited to find it for $1. I think I got that one from the Dollar Tree, if I'm not mistaken. Speaking of Dollar Tree, here's Incarnate. In Fear, The Innkeepers by Ty West. Love this movie. I like this one even better than House of the Devil. I think this one was excellent. Then we have the Insidious movies. We have the original, my favorite of the bunch. Insidious Chapter 2, still great. Insidious Chapter 3, shockingly good. And then finally, Insidious The Last Key. I love that set of films, that series of films. Then we have Intruder. And then the full Invisible Man Complete Legacy Collection. Here is Irreversible. This is the only release I have from Indicator. Great release. Not the best movie, but super disturbing scene in it. We have the original I Spit on Your Grave, aka Day of the Woman, and then the remake trilogy, I Spit on Your Grave, I Spit on Your Grave 2, and then the one I just found recently, I Spit on Your Grave 3, Vengeance is Mine. We have the Stephen King miniseries of It. It Comes at Night. It Follows. I need to rewatch this. I really liked it the first time I saw it, but I haven't watched it since. Then we have Jaws 2. Of course, I own the original on 4K. Then the sequel, Jaws 3. And then finally, Jaws 4: The Revenge. Next up is Jeepers Creepers. I wish I had the sequel on Blu-ray, but I only have that on DVD. And then Jennifer's Body. I'm happy that this gets more love nowadays because I liked it when it released, but nobody else seemed to. But I'm glad nowadays it gets a little bit more love. John Dies at the End. And then we have Joyride 3, Roadkill. I own the first 2 on DVD. Another dollar store find. The Jurassic Dead. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Not a favorite of mine, but I appreciate it for what it is. Killer Movie. Has Kaylee Kuko in it, or Penny from Big Bang Theory, which is awesome. Killer Tattooist, another dollar store find. Kill Katie Malone, again, another one that's much better than it has any right to be. Not great, but better than I expected. Knock Knock, absolutely love this home invasion film, so good. Krampus, I did not upgrade to the 4K on that one because I've yet to see it, so I'll maybe upgrade after I watch it. Then we have The Last Exorcism. I really enjoyed this movie the first time I saw it in theaters. I thought I had the sequel, but maybe I own that on DVD. Then we have Last House on the Left. That's is this the original? No, this is the remake, Last House on the Left. I have the original on a different company, a boutique company. Then we have Leprechaun, the complete movie collection. Let Me In, which is actually I should have this separated here. It should be this way. Let the Right One In, which is the original that I absolutely love, vampire movie. And then the remake, rather, with Chloe Grace Moretz, Let Me In. Decent, but not nearly as good. Then Lights Out, super creepy horror film. I like that one a lot. A Lizard in Woman's Skin, another one from Mondo Macabro. Long Weekend from Synapse. Lords of Chaos. Another Rob Zombie movie, The Lords of Salem. I enjoyed that one. I think it's, I don't know that I would call it underrated, but I do think it's good. The Lost, based on the Jack Ketchum novel. The Lost Boys triple feature with Lost Boys, The Tribe, and then Lost Boys, The Thirst. Lovely Molly, which I've talked about before, from the makers of Blair Witch Project. Such a good movie, super creepy. I really like that. And then the last one on this shelf is the Lucio Fulci collection, which is City of the Living Dead, The House by the Cemetery, and The New York Ripper. I've recently watched New York Ripper and thought that one was decent, but not great. So that means we're halfway there. So let's move on to shelf number 4. Starting with shelf number 4 now, I love the picture that's created by these spines. It's so cool. That's the Malevolence trilogy. These are all gifts from my buddy for birthday or Christmas or something. This is Malevolence. You can see it has the signature there, which is awesome, which is why I have these in protectors. And then Malevolence 2, Bereavement, with Alexandra Daddario in that before she was famous. And then Malevolence 3, Killer. And then we have Mama, Mandy with Nicolas Cage, Maniac, which I actually watched this a second time. Actually, was it this one? No, I think it was this one, the remake with Elijah Wood. I watched that a second time and loved it a lot more the second time. Just a brutal horror film, like super unique in what it does. I highly recommend that. Then we have Maniac Cop, Tom Atkins, Bruce Campbell, The Manson Family, Mary, another Dollar Tree find, Men, which I just picked up recently and showed, The Messengers. This is decent. Kristen Stewart is good in that one. The Mimic trilogy. So we have Mimic, Mimic 2, and Mimic 3, Sentinel. I've still yet to see those. I really need to watch those. Then we have The Mind's Eye, another Dollar Tree find, I believe. We have Misery, great movie. I need to get the Scream Factory edition of this. I need to upgrade, but this will do for now. Then there is The Mist, another one of my favorites. Just an awesome, awesome movie. Characters that you absolutely love to hate in that. And then we have Mosquito. That's Gunnar Hansen in that one, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Brooks. This is more of a thriller, but I think it's done really well. My Bloody Valentine. And this is actually the original, but I kept it because there were some special features on here that the Scream Factory edition does not have, but I do own the Scream Factory Steelbook, so I'll hold on to that one for now. And then My Bloody Valentine 3D. This is the remake. I love this movie. One of the first films that my now wife and I watched in theaters together. Absolutely love that. My Soul to Take, a Wes Craven film I've yet to see. Another Warner Archive release, Mystery of the Wax Museum. Near Dark, really enjoy that vampire flick. Necromantic, have not yet watched this one, but I definitely need to. It's supposed to be super weird. The Night House. Night of the Creeps, another one I need to rewatch. It's been so long since I've seen that. And then we have the entire Nightmare on Elm Street, original 7 films. Absolutely love that franchise. And of course, the super disappointing remake. I love the slipcover on it though, that really cool slip. Here is Night Train. 976 Evil with an awesome slipcover on it. There's No One Lives. Another one, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is a WWE studio film, and it is. You can see the logo down there. Here's a Kino release of Nosferatu. The Number 23 with Jim Carrey. Everyone hates on, not everyone, I shouldn't say that anymore, because whenever I say that, people are like, I really like that movie. But up until recently, everything I've heard about Number 23 has been negative, but I've always enjoyed this one. Not a great movie, but a solid film. I think Jim Carrey does well in it. A psychological thriller of sorts. Another one from the Conjuring universe, The Nun. Nurse 3D, really enjoyed this movie. This was one of the films that we talked about on an early Cinefessions podcast episode. Just a great movie. Officer Down, another Dollar Tree find. This one has a really good slipcover with it. We have One Dark Night. Open Grave, another dollar store find. The Open Water Duology, Open Water and Open Water 2 Adrift. I like the first one a lot more than the second one. There is a third one that I have yet to see or own. Then we have Orphan. The prequel just came out. I still need to see that. Then we have The Orphanage, which honestly I always thought was a Guillermo del Toro film, but I think he's actually just a producer. It's directed by J.A. Bayona, I believe is how you say that, but a really good, effective, creepy horror film. The Other Side of the Door with that awesome insert there. Ouija and its sequel, Ouija Origin of Evil, a recent find for me. Then Outpost Black Sun and Outpost Rise of the Spetsnaz. I'm not sure how you would say that. And then I have all of the Paranormal Activity movies. The original, number 2. Number 3, I love that one. Well, this one's stuck together. Paranormal Activity 4. Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, and Paranormal Activity Ghost Dimension 3D. This is the only one I've yet to see, and I need to watch Next of Kin, which I don't own because I don't have the collection where that is a Blu-ray exclusive. Patient Zero, a Nicolas Cage Dollar Tree find. Pay the Ghost. A Perfect Getaway, a really strong thriller. Not great, but pretty decent for what it is. Great cast on it, though. I love this steelbook from Mondo. This is Pet Sematary. Love that movie. Another one here from Grindhouse. This is Pieces. I don't think I love this as much as most people do, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. A good slasher film. Then we have Piranha, the remake. This one floored me when I saw it in theaters. I loved it. And the sequel, Piranha 3 Double D, is arguably not as good, but pretty darn good anyway, I guess I'll say. And actually, I only have the 3D disc of this, so I need to get the 2D version of that Blu-ray as well. Another Kino Lorbo release. This is The Pit. And then Playback. The Poltergeist remake. And here's a hot take for you. I like this movie better than the original Poltergeist. I've not been shy about not liking the original Poltergeist that much, but I really enjoyed this remake of it. And this is actually the Blu-ray 3D version of it with a really cool, you can't tell, but it's a lenticular cover, which I love. The only Puppet Master film in my collection, The Littlest Reich. And then the Purge movies will wrap up this shelf. The Purge, my favorite of the bunch. The Purge Anarchy, my least favorite of the bunch. The Purge Election Year, my second favorite. And then The First Purge, A Nation Reborn. All right, moving on to the second to last shelf, we have Queens of Scream. So this is I Know What You Did Last Summer, Vacancy, and When a Stranger Calls. 3 movies that I adore. Random Acts of Violence, another Shudder film. Rare Exports, and this is actually from Oscilloscope. Really cool release from them. Ready or Not, still need to see that one. Reanimator, an absolute classic. The Reckoning. Red Dragon. Repo, the Genetic Opera. I don't like this as much as most people do. I don't know why. I just wasn't a big fan the first time I saw it. The Requiem. There's a review of that on the channel here. Not a good movie. And then some steelbooks. I do own the entire Resident Evil collection on 4K, but I kept the steelbooks. Here's the original Resident Evil steelbook. We have Resident Evil Extinction and Resident Evil Degeneration. So those are the steelbooks. And then the Blu-ray 3Ds I also kept. So I have Resident Evil Afterlife 3D, Resident Evil Retribution in 3D, and then Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. I don't own that one in the 4K collection. It wasn't out, I don't believe, at that point. And it's an animated one, so it wouldn't have been in there anyway. And then, last but not least, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. I need to upgrade that one to 4K eventually, but just because I have the others in 4K, so it just makes sense. Then we have Return to Nukem High, Volume 1. Ride, another dollar store find, but I love Bella Thorne, so I need to check that one out. The Ring, actually, this is another one I can get rid of because I do have the Steelbook edition that I just picked up, so I'm going to move that to the side. Rings, Rise of the Zombies, another Asylum film. Not great, but not terrible. The Right, The Ruins. I've been meaning to rewatch this. It's been so many years since I've seen it, but a pretty good plant horror film, which is weird, but it works. Saint Maud, Salem's Lot. Didn't love the book, but I've yet to see the miniseries. Satan's Blade. And then we get into the Saw franchise. So here is Saw, the complete movie collection, so 7 films. And then, again, I held on to the 3D. This is the final chapter 3D. Then we have Scar 3D. I should mention I have Spiral on 4K, by the way. Here is the Scream 5 film set. So Scream, Scream 2, Scream 3, Still Screaming, and Scream the Inside Story. So those last two, of course, are documentaries on the Scream franchise. And then Scream 4. I love that series. S. Darko, another recent find. The sequel to Donnie Darko, which I do own Donnie Darko on 4K. Kane in See No Evil. This actually held up a lot better than I expected it to when I watched it earlier this year. And then the sequel, which I still have to see, this is See No Evil 2, but Danielle Harris is in it, so I definitely need to check that out. I don't know why I haven't watched it yet. This is a Serbian film. This is actually I think this is the edited version of it. There is a couple cuts, which frankly, that's fine by me. I've seen what I need to see. That is a disturbing, messed up movie. I don't really need to see what was cut out of it, frankly. I should mention I know what was cut out of it, and that's why I know I don't need to see it. But anyway, The Shallows with Blake Lively. I wish I liked this one better than I did, but I think it's okay. Then we have Sharknado, another Asylum one. That's probably one of the most infamous Asylum films out there. Shaun of the Dead Steelbook. I was big on these like comic book style steelbooks. I love those. And then Shut In. Shudder. That was out when the J-horror craze was going on. The Signal. Silent Hill. I'll be honest, I don't love this movie. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, and I'm always disappointed with it. I think the sequel, Silent Hill Revelations 3D, and this one is the 3D release of this, which is pretty cool. I think the original is better than the sequel, but I think both of them just aren't very good. Silent House. This is supposed to be a one-take film. It's actually shot like it's a one-take film, but it's not really. There is an original that I have seen, and I have not watched the Americanized remake, at least that I recall watching. Sinister, an amazing horror film. Everyone knows that one, though. And its sequel, Sinister 2. Stephen King's Sleepwalkers. Smash Cut with Sasha Grey. Species on Blu-ray. I don't own the Scream Factory releases of Species. Spell. Split with James McAvoy, another M. Night Shyamalan film I think is done quite well. Spiral, a Shudder original that I loved, that came out in, I think this was 2020. I really enjoyed that one. And then we have Spree, which is turned around for some reason. Another Dollar Tree find. Spring. Stakeland, one of my favorite vampire flicks. I love that movie. The Stand miniseries. It's okay. The book, I think, is better than the miniseries, and I don't love the book. I mean, I liked the book, but I don't love it. So I'd probably put the Stand miniseries right alongside it. Stitch. Stitches. Stoker. Stranded, another space horror film that is very mediocre. Now, I don't have The Strangers here because I do own it on Scream Factory Blu-ray, of course, but I do have the sequel, Pray at Night, which I think is super underrated. I love that sequel. Another recent pickup, Studio 666, a comedy horror with the Foo Fighters. And then Survival of the Dead with another really great lenticular. You could find this at Dollar Tree. That's not where I picked it up, but you definitely could within the last couple years here. SX Tape. And then one of my favorite found footage films, The Taking of Deborah Logan. All right, let's move on to the last one here and figure out how in the heck I'm going to go through all of these. All right, last shelf. I'm literally laying on the floor. Excuse the mess if you can see it. It's the basement. Things get dirty in the basement. Anyway, we have the Texas Chainsaw film. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That needs a 4K release. Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I do have Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on Scream Factory Blu-ray. Here is the remake, one of my all-time favorite remakes. I just love that. Texas Chainsaw on Blu-ray. 3D, I should say. And then Texas Chainsaw The Beginning. And finally, Leatherface. Love that franchise. And then we have The Thing from Another World, the Howard Hawks movie, which I think is actually really good. This is a Warner Archive release of that. And then the prequel, The Thing, which I don't love nearly as much as the original, but of course I do own The Thing on DVD. I own it twice on Blu-ray and on 4K. I just don't have it a standard Blu-ray of it. Here is the double feature of 13 Ghosts and House of Wax. 30 Days of Night, another excellent, excellent vampire movie. And its sequel, which is shockingly good, 30 Days of Night, Dark Days. I mean, not like a wonderful film, but a pretty good movie for what it is. Rob Zombie's 31, that's the Steelbook edition. Tiger House with Kayla Scodelario from Crawl and the Maze Runner trilogy. I love her. Till Death, a pretty decent home invasion style movie. Really, I enjoyed that one for what it was. And then The Toll with an awesome slipcover. Tormented 3D. Tourist Trap, which honestly, I don't really like that much. I was super disappointed with that one. And then The Town That Dreaded Sundown, that's the remake of that one. Pretty decent. And then The Toxic Avenger Collection. So this is 1 through 3, and then Citizen Toxie plus the making of documentary. So a really cool find from Disc Replay a while back. Here is Trick or Treat, one of my all-time favorite Halloween movies. Then a horror triple feature, Volume 1, Forget Me Not, House of Fallen, and Red Hook. And then a found footage kaiju film. This is Troll Hunter. I believe it's Norwegian, and it's fantastic. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. Truth or Dare, another Blumhouse movie with, I always forget her name, but from Pretty Little Liars. Lucy Hale. I don't know how I always forget her name, but Lucy Hale. Anyway, The Turning. 12-12-12, another Asylum movie. 28 Days Later, probably my first favorite zombie movie, if you want to call it that. And then 28 Weeks Later, which I liked arguably even more than the original. 2001 Maniacs, the remake with Robert Englund. Another recent pickup, Underwater with Kristen Stewart. And then we have Unfriended and its sequel, Unfriended Dark Web, 2 excellent found footage movies done in the same style as Host. And then there is Unsane, Vampiros Lesbos, Jess Franco, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Jess Franco. And then the VHS movie. So here is VHS. VHS 2 combo pack that actually has a VHS tape with it, which is awesome. I actually bought that from FYE in our local mall before it shut down. And then VHS Viral, the only one I have yet to see. VHS 94, and then of course VHS 99. It will be in this collection once it comes out on physical media. That one just released on Shudder. And then next up is another 4-pack. This is Visible Scars, Allure, All God's Creatures, and The Hanged Man. Probably all terrible, but I've not watched those. Another favorite found footage film of mine, which I know I sound like a broken record, but this is M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit. I love that movie. Voice from the Stone, another Dollar Tree find. Speaking of Dollar Tree, Voodoo Apocalypse, Walled In, getting things reorganized here. So here is Winchester, The Witch, Wolfman, the Complete Legacy Collection, the Wolfman remake, which is not great, but it's decent enough. Wolfsbane, a steelbook found from Disc Replay. The Woman, one I've been looking for a while and finally found recently. The Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe, and the sequel, The Woman in Black 2, Angel of Death. I've yet to see the sequel, but the original is probably like a 6 out of 10 movie. Good, but not great. World War Z 3D. I didn't like this in theaters, but then I've really enjoyed it every watch since then. Then we have the Wrong Turn movie. So here is the 3-pack with the first 3 films in it. And then Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings. Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines, and the reboot, Wrong Turn. X, which you guys know if you watch the channel, I adored that movie. There's a review here if you want to hear my full thoughts. You're Next. Zombievers. I love that one, and don't hear anyone talk about that. It's such a funny movie, though. Lucio Fulci's Zombie, an all-time classic. Zombie Diaries 2, a Dimension Extreme title, which is really cool. And then last but not least, we have Zombie Killer's Elephant Graveyard. All right, so just to give one more kind of overview look at all 6 shelves, that is my standard Blu-ray horror collection, and I think it's a heck of a lot of fun to go through. All right, so that was a lot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Before we wrap up though, there are actually 2 more here that I completely forgot to add back to the wall because I have them pulled for another video. So the first one here is John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars. This is the Mill Creek Blu-ray. And then finally, John Carpenter's The Ward. So kind of a sneak peek at my 13 days of Halloween that'll be dropping hopefully on Halloween. At least that's the goal. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But I wanted to include those 2 just to be complete, I guess. But anyway, let me know down in the comments below, what have you guys seen from my wall? And is there anything that I'm missing? Now again, that was just my standard Blu-ray, so there could be something in my boutique label that I didn't show today, but whatever it is, just let me know what I'm missing down below and I will let you know if I have it or not. But I love hearing from you guys, so thank you so much for leaving those comments down there on this part of my collection or anything else. And then let me know what else you want to see. What other part of my collection should I do next? Leave me any suggestions down below as well. But as always, guys, if you enjoyed this one, please hit that like button. That really does help me out. And like I always say, I don't just talk movies, I talk all things media. Be it books, movies, video games, graphic novels, manga. If it's media related, I'm interested in it. And if you are too, you might consider subscribing. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching this one. And I want to encourage you to consume some media today. I'll catch you next time.